Hey folks, in today's video we're back with more Gold Stake Balatro. For this run, I invited the best Balatro player I know, Dr. Spectred from Balatro University, to co-op the run. The result was a more in-depth discussion on decision making than my typical videos include, which I gained a lot of insight from, and I hope you will too. Enjoy the video. This is the question I get a lot, and I have feelings about this. How do you feel about a coupon tag on ante 1 small blind?
It saves you some money and it gives you some stuff, but maybe the amount of money it saves you is not very much, and the amount of stuff that it gives you is also not very relevant to, let's say, the first boss. Or for me, the big challenge that I think about is round 4 is the hardest. Being able to smoothly transition into the start of ante 2. And so maybe like if you get a free Arcana pack, or if you get a free, I guess if you take the coupon tag right now, you get Buffoon pack guaranteed, and then some other booster pack. And I don't think that there's anything that you can get from any other booster pack, non-Buffoon booster pack, that actually helps you in the first 2 rounds. And so I usually don't take the coupon tag this early.
Yeah, and I think that all of that is kind of amplified by the trade-off gets even worse when you consider yellow deck, the fact that we're already at the $10 interest threshold, so we're losing the $2 there, plus, you know, maybe another $3 from the remaining hands, so you're paying $5 still, and you're missing a shop.
Yeah, I think that's the right perspective, is you're paying $5.
Right.
So whatever you get, it costs you $5 to do
Right.
that, and then plus potentially compounding interest in the next round.
Right. True. So that $5, yeah, again, is another, is actually $6 because of the next round, and then so on.
Also, if you go into the big blind just straight away, then you need 2 hands, and sometimes you don't get the 2 hands right away, and it costs you extra hands, and so that's extra money as well.
Yeah. Going into the big blind, God forbid the boss blind, without any source of scoring is often pretty costly. All right.
Yeah.
Looking at this hand, I see 2 paths. We've got a straight, potentially to the king or the ace, and then also a pretty reasonable flush draw. My instinct, I don't like the 2, but I do like the king and the queen of clubs. My instinct might still be to chase the flush, just because, like, intuitively it feels more likely than hitting a 2-card straight draw, even if it is open-ended, but I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah, almost all the time I go for the flush. Even if you end up with a low flush, then you can still get like a pair, followed up with a pair. I was about to say, in this particular situation, it's kind of unique that you have the jack, and then since you have the connected king, queen, and jack, then actually the straight draw is just as likely as the flush draw, and so I probably would have thrown away the 2, but I don't think it's wrong to keep it either.
Okay. Well, I should have let you keep talking then before I just went ahead and did it, but it turns out, you know, I'm very good at drawing the exact cards that I need. So.
Yeah. Never punch.
Never punch. Actually, okay. Somebody actually using the term in the appropriate context for once?
Oh, I just say it every time.
Oh, okay. So I feel like there's a decision point here, because I don't want to spend more than $4 in the shop if I can avoid it. So Sly Joker to me is reliably pretty okay at this stage in the run. Can get me through the big blind for sure and set me up for a decent second shop. Or I could go with a little bit more of a gamble line on the Buffoon pack, maybe get a source of flat molt, which is extremely valuable in this stage of the run as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think about, let's see here, it depends on what deck we're on, whether or not we want the Buffoon pack. And so like the checker deck, you're fine for 4 rounds without any jokers at all. Same with the plasma deck, same with potentially the abandoned deck. Maybe the yellow deck is one where you have no advantages as far as like pre-built deck, and so okay, I want to find some thing that's going to help me score in the boss round, and then also round 4, ante 2 small blind. And so maybe Sly Joker is that. I would say if you take Sly Joker and you get the 50 chips, that's probably going to be enough for the boss, but might not be enough for round 4. And so the question is, if I don't take this Buffoon pack now, what are the odds that I find what I need before round 4? Or you could also think about, okay, for this particular boss, maybe the boss that makes you discard random cards is particularly challenging, depending on what kind of hand you're going for. If you don't get that 5-card hand right away, then you just lose everything. And then so maybe I would take the Buffoon pack here.
Okay.
On the yellow deck specifically, because the yellow deck has that sort of extra money. Even if the Buffoon pack fails you, then you still have a huge safety net.
So we got some Molt, as well as another option for chips in the Clever Joker. Again, my immediate instinct is Droll Joker is just kind of free money for the early game. Might be a little bit risky going into the hook, doesn't play nicely with the Sly Joker, but like can probably get us through by itself that 4th round, right?
Yeah. So just like you said, by itself, you can basically get through round 4 completely. If I have any source of Molt, then I don't need Sly Joker here.
Right.
And then that also, saves you money, you get more interest. So Droll Joker actually earns you money from this round.
Exactly. In more ways than one, right? Like it saves us in interest and also is
right.
Very likely, as long as we don't draw horrendously, which fortunately we didn't, you get extra money from the hands as well. So
yeah, if you play this flush and it's not a winning flush, you've already used your 2 discards, so it takes you another hand at least and another discard hand, another throwaway hand. So that's like $2 that you gain from opening the Buffoon pack.
Right. And then because of, again, that compounding effect and the fact that we have it for multiple rounds, like you actually end up getting money positive in terms of the return on the Droll Joker.
For sure.
All right. How do you feel about this Cartomancer? I know you're a big fan of tarot cards, obviously. It's slow. It's no hallucination when you have good econ. And again, if we take interest into account, it realistically costs us $7 right now.
True. Yeah, maybe I would say on the gold stake in general, you just have access to fewer resources. And so any way that you can generate some kind of money or some kind of value generation in the early game is going to be important, where like the early game refers to like the first 4 antes.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you take Cartomancer here and all you do is just sell the tarot card that you get, that's still $1 every round. That's still basically the same as having $5 in the bank for interest.
True. Okay.
I would take the Arcana pack first in case you have a Hermit.
Okay. Well, it's a little late for that. I got a bit antsy. Always punished though.
Got him.
Yeah. I deserve that one. I gotta let you finish speaking before I before I start clicking.
It's a 1 in 7 chance. It's not going to hit every time, but every once in a while you'll feel real smart.
Yeah. Or if you're me, you'll feel real dumb.
Yeah. Do you reroll here with $30 in the bank?
True. Yeah, because I'm not a huge fan of $8 Celestial packs at this stage, especially without a telescope. So.
Sure. Okay.
So this is almost money positive. It's money neutral at the moment, right?
Neutral at the moment.
And this is quite expensive and not like by the time it feels necessary, I think it's gone. Is my concern with it in terms of the tribe?
No, I think that's exactly the right way to put it. Is by the time it does the thing, it's already perished.
Right.
By the time you need it, it's already done.
So we're just cutting heavily into our money engine, which is our current like best source of strength, in order to get something that falls off by the time we need it.
Yeah, Golden Joker here, if you get either a Fool or a Hermit or a Temperance, all 3 of those hits, you become money positive.
There's also just...
And even if it's money neutral for 2 rounds, if it's money positive for at least 1 round, then it pays for the rental fee.
Right. And
it pays for, you bought it for $1.
Right.
And then you sell it later for $1.
And literally worst case scenario, if I decide that the interest is very important for some reason, there's no reason not to take it into the round with me, right?
Yeah.
Because it just sells for another $1.
Yeah, before we leave here, I will say I would not have rerolled there because I already know I have enough material for the boss, and because in the next ante you start with a voucher. And then so even though you have more than $25, sometimes you want to save like $30 or $35 to buy vouchers.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I've very skillfully drawn a flush without having to deal with the hook, which can be nasty, so...
Classic. A move I like to do is, if I have only 2 of a card, like I don't have 3 of the same suit, I'll just play a throwaway hand first. And then after burning a few hands, then once I get closer to something, start discarding.
That makes sense. I know you're a big fan of pairs. I feel like pairs pair well with this blue Joker that we just got.
Why? Why do we play pairs on Gold Stake?
Well, because it's an easy hand to make. It's scales reasonably well, especially in the chip department for the planet scaling, which, in my experience, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, there are fewer quality chip Jokers on Gold Stake for the later rounds than there are, or just in general. I guess it doesn't even really matter what stake they're on. So in my ideal setup, I do take advantage of the chip Jokers early, but I would like my planet scaling to handle that for the late game so I can have more times Molt Joker, especially if I'm looking to go endless with something.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's kind of the pacing of a normal run is the plus Molt Jokers are going to do the most in the first 2 antes, because if you start out at 4 Molt and you get, let's say, 12 on top of that, that's times 4 to your score. Whereas a normal flush or like a starter flush is about 70 chips, and so blue Joker on top of that is maybe only plus 100% to your score, maybe only a times 2 to your score, compared to what Droll Joker is able to do for you. So the plus Molt Jokers matter the most early, but then you get diminishing returns. So if you get a second plus Molt Joker, it is at most double what you were doing before, right? It's just another copy of what you were doing before with your other Molt Jokers. And so there's less Jokers that give you chips than there are Jokers that give you Molt. So then you want to have like, okay, I want to have some mix of Molt and chips. But the chips Jokers don't give you that many chips, and the planet cards are usually these sorts of chips in the end game. And so you have kind of this pacing where you go through, okay, a couple Molt Jokers in ante 1 and 2, you want to get a chips Joker in 3 and 4, and then you want to have level, let's say, 8 to 15 hands in antes 6, 7, and 8.
Okay. Yeah. So I've never like actually considered mapping out the pacing like that in terms of levels. I just go purely based on vibes, but have still like arrived at essentially the same conclusion.
Yeah,
it sounds
you get what you get, right?
Right.
But the point you said about sort of the spammability of pairs is very good.
Yeah, and with this money, how do you? So this is maybe something that I can improve upon. How do you feel about the value of the reroll versus just like YOLOing these celestial packs, or at least maybe one of them, based on where our money is?
So I think all booster packs are going to be higher expected value than shop rerolls.
Okay.
Even just the first shop reroll for $5, and so I always budget for as many booster packs as I can before doing any rerolls.
Okay.
And so that could be like another reason to not open a booster pack or not reroll in ante 1, so that you can save your booster packs or save your money for the booster packs in this shop.
Right, especially we want to consider that alongside our how much money we're getting off of this golden Joker in particular. All right, looking at these, not too excited about any of them, other than like, if we get some deck fixing, I'm a big fan of it. Like, if we have access to deck fixing, which we do have a little bit with Cartomancer, I'm not opposed to like working towards a Mars just for like speculative Mars. We have Droll Joker, so Jupiter might make a little bit of sense because we're still playing or incentivized to play flushes right now. So this gives us maybe some early game strength that we might need. We also do have a lot of options for deck fixing towards flushes with Cartomancer. But then just like independently, we are going to lose Droll Joker soon, so Saturn maybe scales the best in terms of the ease of making that hand compared to the other options here.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on all the points. You said, okay, a run with Cartomancer is way different than a run without Cartomancer. Only half the shops are going to have Arcana packs, and it normally takes 4 rerolls to get 1 tarot card from a shop. And so, okay, if I have Cartomancer, maybe I could do a little bit more ambitious hands, like 4 of a kind, you said. Usually on Gold Stake, I default to playing pairs, and so here what I would think about is, okay, well, what is going to help me survive until we get there? And you mentioned, okay, we have the Droll Joker right now. It's also perishable. I think whether you have Droll Joker or not, I think Jupiter is reasonable here, even without Droll Joker, because it's kind of an easy hand we can assemble right now, and then also it's pretty compatible with the Cartomancer. Cartomancer can give you any one suit changer and really set you up.
Mm-hmm. True.
Otherwise, I think, like you said, Saturn is also very reasonable because of, just how many points you get. You get a lot of mult, you get a lot of chips. It has very fast scaling, is what you said. Maybe if you have Cartomancer, I would lean more into flushes rather than leaning into straights.
Okay. And then for the sake of the rental, we just kind of go next round rather than opening.
Yeah. The one question I get a lot is, how do you build your deck if you're trying to make straights happen? And so usually what I say is, well, accept that it's not going to happen. Accept that there's not really that much you can do tarot card wise to help your deck make straights. Like, there's small things that you can do, but there's not a whole lot that you can do. And so if you have something like Cartomancer, you're not really using it to help set up straights, but you can use it to help set up flushes, and flush houses is my favorite.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense to me. We do have a straight flush, which is a fan favorite. I like hanging on to... We don't need... So if I were to just play the flush, I like hanging on to the Fool still, just because I don't need to make a decision about what to do with that yet, because a flush will, just with the Droll Joker, will clear, right? So there's no reason to waste the Fool just yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of high roll potential.
So, personally, and you can give your opinion on that, I think it was actually just a worse play to play the straight flush there, but I did it because it's fun. Just in case we want to work towards this telescope down the line, we have the access to, repeatedly,
telescope and supernova.
True. All right, I'm going to learn my lesson and start with the Arcana pack. And I guess the question now is a level in Jupiter worth $8, which I would lean towards no, or do we just want some, diamonds here?
This is probably run defining. This is going to be the crux of it. So, if you want to try to play flushes, then I think the star is worth $8, and probably you go 2 stars, and then that'll set you up to play flushes. But you don't necessarily have a lot of resources to enable you to play flushes, because Droll Joker is going to be gone soon. But you don't really have that many resources to do anything other than flushes yet either, and so maybe the star is kind of a safe investment there. The alternative is, if you take Temperance for money, you could copy it with a Fool. That buys you 2 rerolls. You can try to find some other Joker. Maybe some kind of scaling plus mult Joker is pretty common. There's a lot of those at the common rarity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I feel like some of the reasons for my inconsistency is I maybe take those bigger swings at something like a Temperance into the Fool. So let's see if I can let's work away from that and go for a more consistent line here. And so, so I like the idea of the using the star here, and we want to delete as many of the same suit as possible so that we increase our chances of not only hitting diamonds, but don't completely demolish our chances. Or is that the wrong way to look at it? Would we like to go one of each and then still have the possibility to hit all 3 suits?
If you want to set up flushes, definitely get rid of one suit, make more of the other, hit all the clubs. Cool. A personal beef I have with flushes is potentially not having enough points in the end game because of sort of the low scaling numbers on the Jupiter cards. And so often what I'll do in that situation is, forget about clubs and spades and hearts. I'm just always going to do diamonds, and I'm actually going to make all of the face cards into diamonds and set up flush houses as my escape plan
I
in
see.
the end game.
Okay.
Maybe knowing that I have access to Cartomancer, knowing that I have access to extra hero cards, then maybe, Flush House is even more possible than it would be otherwise.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Not really a fan of any of these. Is there any value in just using Pluto here because it's going to be a frequent throwaway hand if we don't hit our flush, if that's what we're playing towards long term? Or would we rather just have a good scaling hand from something like Uranus, which is like, it's pair light, I want to say?
Yeah, here I would say pairs are the easiest hand to play, and then maybe 2 pairs the second easiest hand to play. Obviously, high card, you just have to play 1 card, but you don't get as many points, you don't get as many chips, and so I like taking 2 pair as a backup. And I like 2 pair on decks like the black deck or potentially the painted deck, decks where, maybe you have difficulty winning with pairs, and then so you play 2 pair instead. A little bit more points, but a little bit more difficulty.
Okay, and then we just snap pick the Baron without any thought, right?
I think if you took it, you would survive. I don't think it's the optimal pick here.
Yeah. No, I don't.
But you knew that?
Yeah. Well, we deleted our clubs just in time, it seems. And we can get rid of even more of them. So I don't think it matters too much, other than maybe what numbers we want to go for. My inclination is to convert the clubs to diamonds, and then I'm not a fan of either aces or nines necessarily, so just clip those 2 as well. The reason I'm liking these clubs is not only that we already deleted clubs, but we also, or I took the line of leaning into some hackable cards in the earlier situation with 5s and 4s, or 3s and 4s when we converted earlier, so that gives us another out towards hack if I convert these, and an ace is like hackable almost.
Usually when I think about like what are potential outs, like what are potential jokers that I might be building towards, I don't worry too much about uncommons because of, them being uncommon. But it's a bit of a meme, but we gotta admit that the Chad and the photograph are both very powerful and then both very common. Right. And so usually my default is to go towards face cards. And then also there's like a ton of jokers, common jokers that give you money for face cards. And so maybe those are what I'm trying to turn into diamonds, and then remove stuff that's not face cards. Okay,
so exhibit a little bit of patience is maybe what you're saying there.
Yeah.
There's no reason to just delete the first cards that came up because we can see more of our deck before making a decision.
I would definitely use the Hangman before you go to the shop, though.
Yeah, there's just no reason
not to. If there's no Arcana Pack, then you miss out on that value, and then the Cartomancer can't give you a second one.
Okay, well, we're kind of all over the place with these Celestial packs, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm a 3-of-a-kind believer myself, just because it feels like a good bridge to get to the 5-of-a-kind hand if we work that way, or possibly even a flush house.
Yeah, if you look at them side by side, the 3-of-a-kind and the full house, they basically give you the same numbers, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so 3-of-a-kind is, not, or a full house is a lot harder to get than 3-of-a-kind.
Right.
For basically the same points.
Yeah, that was, again, how I arrived at that as well. Then standard pack. We do have a wild 4, but none of these look terribly appealing to me. I'm looking primarily...
If there's no diamonds, then I'm less interested.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit extra chips cards. Depends what kind of build I'm on. Holographic card, I think I would take. Gold card I take every time, even if it's not diamonds for our particular build.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of these are exciting, like you said.
Gold seal also would be worth, because chips are not our limiting factor, whereas molt is about to be, right? So and also at this stage in the run, the molt is pretty valuable. I'd also just, with that in mind, probably be the reason I'd just pick up Jimbo here.
Yeah, I'd take that.
And it's low risk because at worst it costs me $1 to get a little bit of extra molt. If I roll, I lose interest from the Golden Joker and then potentially don't get to open as many packs next round, so I don't roll here.
Yeah. So we're going into the boss round, so the next shop is also going to have a voucher, which
Right.
you might want right away.
And
Before we go, do you want to go back in time?
Not particularly, no. There are a few reasons why I don't. It cuts into my money at the moment, and it also cuts heavily into my money in the future by reducing the number of hands. Hands are money. It effectively turns us into playing on black deck without the extra Joker slot. And the upside, I guess I could see, is that it gives us more time with the Cartomancer.
More time with the Cartomancer. You just straight up get to see more shops. And so something you could consider is, okay, can I build a one-shot flavored deck? You know, maybe a deck that can win in one hand, and so it doesn't matter actually how many hands I have. I would say most of the time I don't go back in time, because most of the time I'm playing pairs, like that's just the default, and I need the extra hand. Let's see here. If you go from 3 hands to 4 hands, that's 30% more hands. That's 30% more points. But if you have a one-shot hand like a flush house or a straight, sometimes that can be it. Then it can be worth it. And it doesn't have to be... you don't have to have that high-level hands in order for it to be a one-shot. And then so sometimes if you're on straights, for example, going back in ante then changes you from a 2 straight to a 1 straight. And then as long as you get another Saturn card that ante, then you still one-shot the next ante as well, and sort of like get out ahead of the curve that way. I probably wouldn't take it here if I'm playing flushes. I think flushes have kind of the same problem as pairs, where you need those extra hands because each individual hand is not worth that much, but I think it is close for me here.
Yeah, I think if we had, I don't know, maybe gotten maybe a scaling flat mult Joker, or just a more permanent, like, clear direction for our build, because we're about to lose some stuff, right? So it might be a little bit more clear, but I think that like the sort of inconsistent nature of our build right now kind of makes it a difficult call.
Another way to think about it, you might need to go back in time just to lower the scoring requirements, because we are both going to lose Droll Joker at the same time as the next round is 3,000 points. And so maybe when you have nothing, that's a good reason to go back in time.
Okay. So my thought process here is I want to find another non-diamond to kill with the Hung Man, and also find probably a face card to put the Devil on, because I want to eventually convert my face cards into diamonds so that we can have one suit. And if it's a card that I want to put the gold card on a card I don't want to discard. So I'm going to throw it on this queen here. I don't really feel good about using the Hanged Man to kill a jack when I've already converted one to a diamond, and that might be something I want to play towards.
Oh, but now you're holding on. It's burning a hole in your hand.
I know. I'm really getting punished from the previous decision not to use it.
I will say in general with the gold cards, and you probably know this, if you're building a certain kind of suit, you want to have... I like to put the gold cards and the steel cards on that suit, and then that way it's never a dead card in my hand.
Correct. Yeah.
Because if you're holding on to a gold card, you would rather it be diamonds than it be hearts.
Absolutely.
And then so with the 6 diamonds already, I wouldn't have thrown away a diamond.
Okay. Yeah, I was playing too hard towards flow. I don't know, like getting maximum value, and then it cost me value.
From the Hangman, yeah.
And then it cost me value. So here, this is what we were talking about with the straight flush. It doesn't really matter because we've played so many flushes anyway, but this is one of my favorite vouchers, just for like brute forcing a hand through.
Yeah, it's another one of those where the run is way different when you have it.
So I like grabbing it here. I also feel like, well, first of all, we've got plenty of money, so we can make use of it immediately, which is nice. There's maybe an argument to selling the Droll Joker before leaving the round so that we could just pick up another one if it showed up. But I do like not having two rentals, but I don't necessarily mind picking up a smiley face. I've got a few extra diamonds that are face cards.
Okay. Let's see here. 3,000 points. We have level 4 because we took 3 Jupiter cards. We used 2 stars, so you could probably play 2 flushes. Not just 1, but 2 flushes, diamonds flushes. You already have Jimbo gives you +4 molt still. I think I wouldn't take the smiley face here.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
And you can get about 2,000 points for 1 flush.
Okay.
And then there is a little bit of risk, you have to find something in the next shop, but then also you have more money to find something in the next shop.
Okay. I'm on a mission to make use of this Hanged Man. I like the idea of maybe saving my discards to make that second flush a little bit more reliable and just using the wild card here on a king.
Yeah, makes sense. Of course, you do the wild card first and then the hung man second, so that you can, you might get a fool.
You might get a fool. Yeah. I was just
a fool.
I'm very eager to use that hung man.
Yeah.
All right. Still 8 spades in the deck, so that seems like a much more reliable draw than fishing for the.
Could be. You
do
only
see
need
fewer cards.
300 points, so high card wins.
Oh, that's true. Well,
which
pair,
means, pair wins also.
but we want to fish for the gold card.
Yeah.
So we want to see as much of the deck as possible.
Yeah, slow your roll, my guy.
That's, I think, maybe the main thing that I can take from this.
That's dollary dues right there.
I know. And nobody harps on it more than, well, maybe you, but few people harp on it more than me, that money is strength in this game. All right, so Arcana pack first. Look for more of that money. How do you feel about working on maybe a secondary suit, or is that just a fool's errand, and would we be better off just brute forcing the diamonds?
I usually don't. I think there are merits to it. I think if you draw half and half, if you draw spades and diamonds, and then you have to choose between the two of them, I think having some more spades might make you more confident in the spades than you should be, and so it can be a little bit of a psychological trap in the future.
Okay. So what you're saying is
I just fully commit to the one suit.
Okay. So what you're saying is we just rip the wheel every time then, right?
Well, okay. So I don't think that the wheel is wrong necessarily.
No, I don't. Because this is
but
the High Priestess is in and of itself a gamble, right? Because there's no guarantee we get the hand that we want. We also have Telescope, so we have a reliable way of hitting flush. The benefit of the Priestess is if you don't get the planet cards that you want, then you can hold on to the bad ones, and you won't have to see them again. And, we'd have to make room for the Cartomancer, but theoretically, you just get 2 of your, $3 back or whatever we spent on the pack.
Yeah, you get the money back. Yeah. If the wheel hits the best case scenario, half of the time you get foil, and maybe foil is not the thing that we need right now.
Okay. True. So let's just go with the High Priestess. And so are you a believer in standard packs at this stage of the run?
Yeah, every time I open all the booster packs before re-rolling.
Okay.
Except for potentially if it's too early, and then maybe, actually all my jokers are perishables and I need some points.
Okay. Well, here's a fantastic looking Jack of Diamonds.
I could see how that could be useful.
Yeah, it seems in line with what we're building towards. So Splash doesn't really play nicely with anything other than if we were to pivot back towards pairs. We don't really need chips in general, so even the foil isn't solving a problem that we have right now. So I might be inclined to take a singular reroll here.
Okay, question.
Yep.
If you don't take the splash, what are you taking instead?
Something that gives me molt.
Right. I guess like the Golden Joker, that slot is usable. We can delete that one. Jimbo, perishable, only has one more round. That slot is also we can replace. And then so we got room. We could take Splash. What's
Okay.
nice about Splash is your holographic card. You don't have to play a flush. You could play the holographic card as a high card, and then it would win.
Okay. Okay.
And the same with sort of any other kind of enhancements that you get from the Cartomancer.
Right.
It's a combo.
Okay. And then we just... So I'm starting to realize that maybe I'm re-rolling the shop too many times and not just working with what I'm given.
Ah, that's the pattern. Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to sell the Venus. Well,
re-roll first.
Are we re-rolling
here?
Could be
a Venus around the corner.
Well, I guess the question is, are we re-rolling here with a rental Golden Joker, right? That'll take us to 26, 27.
Let's see here. We just did this in the previous round. We just said, okay, with Blue Joker and then with just the basic +4 molt, we can get 2,000 points for a flush. Actually, it was a little bit more than that. So you can win with 2 flushes. You don't need to re-roll.
That was my thought as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to
sell. And then that's why you were going to sell the Venus to make room for the Cartomancer right away.
Yes. So let's try that. The game really wants me to have that world card. Am I crazy to think that maybe just as like a short-term stopgap, it's fine to use here, just to get our first flush, and then we have an easier time drawing the second?
The only time I wouldn't here is if I had something else that I wanted to copy with a Fool. A theoretical Fool that you don't even have yet. But the last thing you used was the Priestess, and then so World replacing the Priestess is not bad.
Yeah, okay. And then, like, yeah, we don't get to turn this king into a diamond like we want, but, like, it wasn't a diamond to begin with, so it's still in the same spot that it
Yeah, you could get it on the back 9.
Right. Okay, so now dig for the gold card, but how aggressively?
Yeah, now the holographic card wins, even without the flush.
Yeah, so we just go all in on that. We're not...
Well, alright, play it without the flush, just for science.
Okay.
Yeah, splash them all in there.
Oh, not even close. Well, I mean, I guess if our limiting factor is molt, a single card giving us 14 molt is going to do a lot for our score.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's a Hermit. I like when I see a $1 hallucination, because that means I just get 2 free chances at hallucination value.
Yeah, I mean, Golden Joker is just giving you $1,
right.
So
this has more expected value than a Golden Joker for sure.
Yeah.
Holy. Okay, so let's make room by using the Hermit, and then Purple Seal just kind of seems like a good idea at this stage.
I would not always take it. I think for this build, it's useful. I think it's good.
Sure. And
if you've got access to tarot cards from Cartomancer, then the Purple Seal is going to be more than just one Purple Seal in not too long.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. And there's just always an inlaid in the Spectral pack anyway.
Yeah.
Oh. I've been lied to? By myself?
You've been here, a classic blunder. Okay, this one's for the folks at home. So you got $70. You're gonna reroll, and I said there's only one tarot card every 4 rerolls, but there's still a chance.
Yeah. So
and you could have had some kind of maybe enhancement like Empress or Hierophant, and you could copy it here or put a red seal or whatever your preference.
Right. I'm a big fan of. You mentioned the Forbidden Photo chat earlier. I like loading up our base cards with red seal with that in mind, just because we have already a pretty high density of diamonds, and especially face card diamonds. I don't feel like that's our limiting factor necessarily right now.
Okay. Do you think there's any consideration for taking cryptid here?
Yes.
Or why not cryptid here?
Cryptid is I would consider it my second choice.
Yeah.
To me, the reason I would value a red seal higher than a cryptid is making copies of cards feels easier, or making copies of like vanilla cards feels more common than like having a density of high quality cards like a red seal would provide.
If you make the high quality card first, then you have the potential to copy that card with death.
Sure.
Just like you said. Oh, sorry. The red seal here.
Yeah.
So like the reason you do the red seal instead of the cryptid is you make the high value card first.
Right.
And then you have something to copy.
Right.
In the future.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of people make this mistake with DNA. You have DNA and then you start copying kind of a medium card in the beginning. And then by the time you get a good card later, you can't ever find it because your deck is full of garbage.
Buried. What are you leaning, or what would you lean towards in this situation?
I would do red seal here for the reasons that you said.
Cool. But
if I had ride the bus here, I would take familiar.
Really?
Yeah, because familiar can give you gold cards.
Oh, okay.
And if I ride the bus, then I'm playing pairs.
Right, and it also has a high probability of maybe even just sniping one of the, so you're maybe net 2 instead of net 3. But
yeah, sometimes.
But the real lesson to be learned there is should have rolled the shot first.
Yeah. That's like that's the high impact lesson.
Yeah.
Is whenever there's a Spectral pack or Arcana pack, I like to reroll for tarot cards just in case I want to use a tarot card inside the pack.
Okay.
The tarot cards are synergistic, right? So you want to have, if you have more at one time, then you can have a bigger impact.
Okay, and not a huge fan of either of these at this stage in the run. I like a business card with this setup, but not necessarily it being eternal.
Yeah, I think without Cartomancer, I think business card here is fine, actually.
Okay, just because you don't want to have too many jokers taking up a value slot is why.
Yeah. Definitely there's this concern about, okay, if I have an eternal money generator, how is that making me points in the end game? But having that early money then gets you the better jokers for the rest of your slots, and then so it kind of balances out that way. And so I would take it here if I didn't have Cartomancer as my value generator already.
Right. So similar idea with regard to Astronomer. It's possible that it makes up its money in the 5 rounds that it hits, but like we kind of need are still on a hunt for a Molt Joker, right?
Well, it pays for itself immediately because you get $3 discount on Jupiter, and then any planet card you can buy for 0, sell for $1, and then if you sell the Astronomer back for $4, then it pays for itself.
It has a sell value.
Yeah, it's not just $8; it's only $4 actually.
So I would lean towards partying with Hallucination because I'm allergic to rentals, but I could see an argument for Jimbo as well as even Splash, just because we're hoping to make up ground on our Jupiter by getting free copies of it, essentially.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think you can survive keeping the Hallucination. So just like with Golden Joker, as a rental Golden Joker, it was fine. I think rental Hallucination is also one that I'm willing to pay for. Rental Cartomancer, I would pay for. And part of the equation is sort of, like I said, this synergistic effect and this compounding effect with having multiple tarot cards, being able to turn a card into gold and use death on it, being able to change suits and apply whatever kind of enhancements to your cards. And so I think Astronomer makes a lot of sense here. I think Hallucination is not wrong to keep it, even though it's a rental.
Right, and another way to think about it is Astronomer pays the rental fee of Hallucination if there's a single Celestial pack in the shop.
Yeah, that's true too. I think you can't part with Jimbo here. I think you can't get rid of the +4. So you gotta. I would keep Splash because it gives you points. I would choose either Astronomer or Hallucination, but I wouldn't keep both. I think keeping both is greedy.
Okay. I like leaning into the Taros here, so I'm gonna keep the Hallucination.
Nice. He's thinking about it.
It's like in these situations, I would rather find, me personally, in this situation, I would rather find Photograph first if I'm taking a speculative pick, just because it's going to do a little bit more for me. I do have very few enhancements at the moment, so like it feels a lot more speculative taking a Hanging Chad right now just because it does less for our score. We do have the Hierophant in here as well, but like...
Okay. I always take Chad.
Okay.
And I don't always take Photograph. I do the opposite of you.
Interesting.
The baseline for Chad is it's 20 chips.
Right.
It re-triggers your face cards. But obviously, like you said, it's not going to do a whole lot this round. And so the question is, okay, if I take the Chad and I'm accepting that it's not going to help me with this round, it's not going to help me with this boss, then, do I still need Blue Joker? Do I still need Splash? You were considering whether or not to sell Splash.
Yeah. Like, with basically at baseline, Hanging Chad is half of a Splash. Anyway, so.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to, how do you feel about your ability to draw flushes?
I feel pretty good.
Because if you can get a flush, then you don't need Splash, right?
Yeah, I think we've been pretty consistently hitting. That may just be recency bias, but it feels with a 20 out of 52, it feels like we can pretty reliably hit them. And that's going to increase, I think, with the Cartomancer as well.
And you do have the Hierophant there right away.
Right.
You can use.
Right. So I was just going to make this line. And then no reason to sell that yet, because we can still re-roll the shop.
How deep do you want to go?
I don't know. You've got me second guessing things now. Like,
okay, now just tell me what you would do.
I would re-roll probably once more. I do like the idea of this Empress over the Hierophant though, just because it like Molt is our limiting factor right now.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I would say the same thing. I would say, once you get to hand level, let's say 6 or 7, then you don't really need the chips from the Hierophant anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so here, obviously, we're saying, okay, I would rather have a random tarot card from Cartomancer rather than the Hierophant chips. And that makes sense.
And going 9, that would take us to 32 with 2 rentals. We probably don't want to take that reroll then. Again, there's a voucher in the next shop, so having a little bit of extra money makes sense.
So, like, literally right now you can afford it. But then it cuts into your budget for the next shop.
Right. Okay.
Another rule of thumb that I use is if my consumable slots are full, if my tarot slots are full, then I stop re-rolling.
Okay. And we're basically -1 consumable slot unless they're really good because of the Cartomancer. So here, I'm going to avoid my earlier mistake. Probably with the Chad now, we can clear this in one hand. So I want to discard for the gold card. And I want to use the Empress first, then the Hermit.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice. Empress and then Hermit. Nice.
And then play this up front to get chatted and all of the Empress cards, and it should be an easy clear.
And this is why I always take Chad.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess a single enhancement starts to pay off quickly.
Yep. There also, because you have the holographic and because you have the combo with the Chad, you don't need a flush once again. And so if you wanted to discard 5 cards more aggressively to try to hit the gold card, that would have been a viable line.
True. I think I'm tunneling and I'm forcing the telescope too hard when it's not really at risk right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think here I would want to go Arcana pack first, just in case there's a Fool. That gives me the option for Hermit.
Here, if you open the Celestial pack first, the hallucination could give you a tarot card that you could use inside the Arcana pack.
Okay, so that makes sense. There, different things to consider than just a Fool.
And if it doesn't, then you can also re-roll and then
Right.
pick up tarot cards to use inside the Arcana pack.
Especially now with the reroll surplus.
Yeah.
But I'm also noticing we finally got a Molt option in Gross Michael here, so I would be inclined to get out of the Jimbo and into the Michael.
Yeah, I guess Jimbo can go.
He's served us well, I'm not gonna lie. Like, him being the single source of Molt for, or not single source, but main source of Molt for a bit.
Yeah, in the first 4 rounds, plus 4 Molt is times 2 points.
Right. Oof. The game really is kind of obsessed with clubs right now. Okay. Roll 6, that'll take us to 36. I think that makes sense to me to roll once more. Speculative dice, huh? I mean, not necessarily speculative since we do have a hallucination briefly, but doesn't feel...
it's a combo with the banana.
I overlooked that one. Okay.
I mean, that's the whole point. That's the only reason you take the banana is because of Cavendish, right?
I mean, right now, yes. But okay. Well, here's our death, but we did not hit the red seal. So I could see making more Molt cards because, as we saw, they're pretty good with the Chad. We can do that either by using the Empress directly, or we could use the death on the Queen speculatively for more face cards.
Okay, so
and to
you
get it
said we want Molt cards, we don't want the chips. We don't need the Hierophants.
Right.
Okay. And you're saying if we use the Empress, we get 2 Molt cards, but it doesn't change the number of diamonds. It doesn't change our ability to make flushes. If we use Death, we only get 1 Molt card, but we could get 1 extra diamond. And so those are like the 2 trade-offs there.
Right.
Would you rather have an extra diamond, or would you rather have an extra Molt card?
I don't know. There's also...
Okay.
Yeah.
I do Death because then you might get a Fool.
Okay. See, I was in the process of saying that, then I held back because I thought that might be like too deep in the tank.
It's narrow, it's marginal, but also making another 9 then potentially sets you up for flush houses in the future.
Okay.
Distant future is possible.
True, because we do have 2 9 of diamonds, as we can see, and now we have 3.
Yeah, we may never get there, but it's always nice to have different lines, different outs.
Okay. All right, Justice, and we hit that purple seal finally. And a Judgment. Could be interesting. We're definitely going to discard, try and find the Queen. How hard do we need to discard, I guess, is the question.
Let's see here. When we had the foil, when we had Jimbo giving us +4, we were able to get about 3,000 for a flush. Since then, this is what's happened. We've picked up another Jupiter card, so that gave us 15 chips. We picked up Chad and Banana, which gives us Molt. Here, I don't think you can hit the 9,000, but you can probably get 7,000.
Okay. So, with that information, I would be inclined to play the first flush and then decide how I want to discard based on what I draw on the backswing after that.
Yeah. It's not 9,000, is it?
Whoop. Well, you know what? That's okay because that was all part of the plan. We have a cabinet.
Yeah, it gives you room for judgment.
Oh.
Let's see here. With the Justice card, One thing that you can do is you can turn the purple seals into glass, and then that way when you copy them, you have a bunch of glass cards in the future.
Okay.
If you're in a situation where you don't need the glass right away, and maybe with the Chad you don't need the glass right away, because you can re-trigger the molt cards.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to open this first because this seems like something we definitely want to do.
Telescope, for sure.
Yeah, is the standard pack now worth when we've got this double rental action?
I still always take them. If you're on flushes, you can take any enhanced diamond.
Okay. Well, unlucky.
Well, lucky 3. Not lucky enough.
No. And we will probably want to get out of this tower so that we can make room and not like tower doesn't help us if we're building towards flushes.
Okay, do you need a swashbuckler?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't. Even if I need one, I'm not sure that I want one, one right here.
Okay. So what you're telling me is, Chad is the molt joker that we need.
So that I should base my discards around that idea then.
Yeah. Don't worry about green so much.
Yeah. No, I was never worried about green.
All right, I lied to you last time. I said it was less than 9,000. It's probably less than 13,000.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I like the idea of molting the jack and the 9. That's where we seem to have like depth in our number of those cards.
Jacks and 9.
The initially I was leaning towards the jack and the 10 just because the 10 is close to a jack if we wanted to go all in on that, but if we're looking maybe towards a flush house, I would go with this route.
Yeah. If you want to leave yourself open.
Right. And a 9 isn't too far away from a jack anyway if we really needed to go that route. Okay. Well, that one definitely wasn't even 9,000, so... this should be pretty good, though, with the enhanced jack. Might as well bring the king into the mix for a little bit of extra chips.
Yeah. Question. At what point do you make the glass card?
That's what I was wondering. We probably don't need it for score right now, so we could, give it away on this 4. It opens up an inventory slot, but, like, we're not in a hurry to make more glass, I guess, is... So,
true. I guess the consideration is you have hallucination, which generates tarot cards, and you have cartomancy, which generates tarot cards, so maybe your slots are kind of premium real estate.
We could also, because it's going to clear, just put it on the queen and play the 4, so that we have a face card for the future that can be glassified.
Yeah, that can work. Probably, if you do get the photograph, then you won't need glass faces. Like, just the photograph of the Chad is enough. But yeah, glass queen and then you don't play it, or glass 8 also, since it's close to a 9 is also fine.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so still accumulating some amount of interest here. And with the hallucination, we just want to keep ripping these packs.
Arcana packs every time.
Now, that's a good one. Yeah. Is it worth just like committing to this jack right now, since it's such a high quality card?
What else would what are our options?
Long-term red seal, but we don't really like. We're kind of in need of some short-term strength, so drawing that jack more frequently is a good idea.
Yeah.
And then it opens us up to getting more deaths in the future.
That makes a ton of sense. I would do it too.
Probably slight preference towards turning hearts into...
Yeah, maybe slight.
Yeah. And then I'm taking the hermit here because $20 is a lot of money.
$20 is a lot of money.
The Hungman was also looking kind of nice, but $20 is still a lot of deck mixing.
Yeah, it's close there. It's close. Because we're close to being able to do the flush house, but we're not quite there yet.
Right.
And so maybe like you remove 2 cards and you race there, you rush there. But the reason why I would prefer the $20 in this position is because we're looking for better quality jokers.
Right, and like these rental fees are starting to limit our ability to see more jokers.
Yeah. In that situation, I think of the Hermit this is reroll money.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to spend this money on anything other than rerolls, and if I'm rerolling, it's joker money is what it turns into.
Okay, I feel like with the Chad 8-ball isn't terrible, but like we already have 2 reasonable tarot generators, so like we're in need of some sort of like source of mult is the main limiting factor.
I think if you weren't going to reroll anymore this shop, you don't need green joker, and then you could probably take 8-ball for that reason. But you're probably, if you do take the 8-ball here, you probably replace it in the next shop anyway.
Right.
So, maybe it's not worth spending.
Well, we found our molt and another Hermit.
Huge. You've been #blessed this run.
It's that streamer luck I've been hearing about. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Abstract Joker, but it solves the exact need that we have right now. It's basically 2x to our score. A little bit less so when we're playing like the enhanced cards, but still serves a very good purpose. That said, we've got a little bit more money. I might be inclined to keep rerolling.
Yeah.
But a little bit less than I normally would, because we are going into the boss blind. We want to be able to afford the...
Yeah. There's also this consideration for the increasing reroll costs, and if you spread out your rerolls between multiple shops, then you pay less per reroll on average.
Yeah.
But you already knew that.
Yeah.
I'm just, for the chatters, let them know.
It's worth mentioning for sure. Red card, it feels a little bit late. We've got... It also feels a little bit... at odds with what we've been working towards, which is, first of all, we have the telescope, so that's decent scaling for Jupiter. And we're trying to work potentially towards a flush house. It could limit the need to do so by just providing us with a bunch of mult, but we'd probably have to...
I would say, just like you said, maybe the red card's not going to grow very fast. I would say if you wanted to play pairs... It's still on the table. It's still possible.
Yes. Because
if you wanted to, even with, we only have level 2, but we have like the blue joker, right? And then if you wanted to play pairs, you would swap hallucination for the red card. But I think we got a nice brew going. We don't need to
and I feel like
into pairs.
Rerolls are getting a little bit expensive, so I might maybe one more, but that would be our last one for sure. So I might just go next round here.
Yeah.
And 1 and 7. This is not necessarily that meaningful of a boss blind, but the game just really wants to give us the world. So in this instance, because we have a fool or a hermit in the fool, we probably don't want to be in a big hurry to use this unless we, for some reason, need to.
Not this time. Yeah. Agree.
And so let's throw the first flush and give ourselves a good chance at drawing the next one. Or that's not necessary anymore. Okay.
That Chad, man.
Yeah, that Chad, and I mean, the abstract did quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
Alright, so in this case, standard pack first. That gives us a chance at a hallucination hit that we could then maybe sell out of the world and use the other better tarot card in the Arcana pack.
Could be.
Well, no diamonds, but we did get a wheel.
Bummer.
In this instance, now I would, again, similar idea, I would sell the world because we're not going to make use of that.
And
still give ourselves a chance at finding either a fool or a hermit.
Yeah. Wheel is still usable, but you can wait on it.
Exactly. Okay. Wow. So
You got a ton of options
I know.
here.
I know. In the shot or in the pack, I think I've narrowed it down to either the star or the hanged man. The star actually increases our density of diamonds and even allows us to get a fifth jack of diamonds, which gets us closer there to the flush house. But the hanged man actively gets a smaller deck, which makes it more likely that we draw into the flush house.
Yeah, it's a question of, do you want to have more diamonds, or do you want to have, potentially you get less flushes if you just remove 2 cards. You get less flushes overall, but you get higher quality flushes.
Right.
To the point where you don't need as many flushes. Yeah, I would say that's my number 1 pick then, and I think just in general card removal, that's my number 1 pick.
Okay.
Some consideration for making lucky cards.
Yes.
For money?
With the Chad. But I feel like we're getting good Chad value right now. Our limiting factor isn't necessarily money, so much as it is, because I've been very skilled at getting the hermits, so much as it is our deck is a little bit clunky.
Yeah. And then, if you didn't have the Chad, then there'd be no consideration for taking the magician here.
Right. And last thing, I would like to use the 2 tarot cards first so that the hanged man is in the Fool.
Yeah. And then also you got room for the cartomancer.
True. Yeah, I was definitely using one of them. But
yeah.
And then we keep the 10 and the jack so that they can easily be swapped over or they're the easiest to swap towards those jacks and 9s that we're working towards. Within the shop, feels like even if we don't get
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not worried about it. Even if we don't get perfect value off of the seed money, it's maybe worth buying here just so that it'll eventually pay for itself. The trade-off is that we do see fewer shops immediately for the potential to see more shops later.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You take it here. It gives you $2 extra in the first round and probably gives you the full 5 in the next round.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's pretty good because we're about to, there's no reason to keep the perishable hallucination anymore, right? So.
Well, there's one more. Yeah, because it's going to get debuffed here. You're right.
So that's actually extraordinarily good timing on the judgment. But we do still have the hanged man and the fool, so discard first.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, honestly, that doesn't look too bad to me right now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's
Okay.
Yeah. Here's what I'm thinking. I've got that nasty boss blind in the back of my mind still.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking as I discard like this, get rid of everything that isn't the jacks and the 9s. I want to maybe have spades as a potential option if I need to play a flush on that boss blind. And then we'll figure out the Joker stuff later.
Yeah. If you can get a Justice card in the next 2 rounds, then you'll also be set.
Right. So here, kind of the same thing. Well, I don't have any discards left, so that's not an option. So I would just... I mean, we can unlock Flush House right now, right?
Yeah. So you sacrifice, you get a 9 instead of a holographic jack.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is it worth that sacrifice?
I mean, the Flush House is the fun line, right?
Yeah. Also, it scores like at base maybe 4 times as much as your flush would.
Right.
So maybe it doesn't matter whether or not you have the holographic cards if you can play a flush house.
True. True. Like the first holographic card is really the one that matters the most, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know. We don't need to worry about the Joker stencil yet, but there is like some, in my mind, there is some consideration to like having that as an option, right? Because we have a lower base mult than I thought. Never mind.
Yeah, so if you were to judge real quickly, what Joker is the weakest link here? Like, if you wanted to get ×2 from Stencil, what would you sell?
Cartomancer.
Oh, yeah.
Or, yeah, because, like, Blue Joker is effectively giving us a little less than ×2. Abstract kind of doing the same.
Yeah. Blue's way less than ×2, right? Like, there you had...
Yeah.
30 cards left, so that would have been 60 chips.
Okay. Alright, so we don't have Hallucination anymore. Is it still worth ripping the tarot packs at this stage?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I like to hear. It's another 9 for me.
Yeah.
Just the harder one to find at the moment, and $12 isn't that much, so, but there's the glass option. But me personally, I would rather take a glass card in my inventory into the boss blind just so that I can more reliably like draw and play it.
So what you're saying is if you make a glass card here, you're never going to see it again. Or you're not going to see it by the time that you need it.
Right, because our deck is still quite large. That's my concern.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So it's a trade-off in risk, right? The risk is that we don't get another Justice card in the future. But, like, the upside of that trade-off is that, Cartomancer maybe gets us another option.
I would say this is a situation where I wouldn't take the standard pack.
Okay, that was my inclination as well, and I was about to ask, so I think we're in agreement there.
Yeah, so some considerations is it's getting later in the run, and then so it's less likely that you'll find something that you want, and so now we sort of consolidated on jacks and nines of diamonds specifically. So if it's not those, probably you don't take a card from the standard pack. Also, you potentially want to save your money for some jokers, or at least reroll for tarot cards.
Right. So we did hit a different flush house this time. We also got yet another world. I wasn't paying close enough attention to what her scoring was like and how hard I should be digging for this queen.
Whether or not we can go for the gold card here.
Right.
I think with the flush house, if you sell the blue joker and then, lean on the stencil, I think you can one-shot probably.
Okay. I could also just take the risk that I find another one of my nines, and then I get to see more of my deck by discarding this way.
Oh, yeah.
So we hit the flush house, but not the gold card yet. But we still hit the flush house.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. Now the problem, even if we take advantage of this world card, is that we're getting a lot of molt from the hanging chad from the enhancements, right?
Well, that is fortuitous, my guy.
The Jimbo, you mean, right?
Oh yeah, it's never too late to take an eternal.
So the trio is just very good for us here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then, I mean, Spectral Pack fun, but there's only 2 options, so Spectral Pack maybe not the strongest thing here.
Yeah, Spectral Pack makes sense. I take Spectral Packs even if I have less than $15, just because of you can high roll seals. Interesting.
I don't feel great about an ectoplasm here, just because we have what I would consider effectively 3 open Joker slots, like long term.
We do. We got some empties, yeah, and the hand that we're trying to draw is maybe not the easiest hand to draw with -1 hand size.
Yeah. So I would skip this.
Yeah. Question.
Yeah.
Do you know how much mult we got from the Chad?
14. Well, it was, each one was 14, so that's 14 times 2, 28. But then there's like, if it's debuffed, it's still not going to get the inherent trigger. So that's 14.
Yeah, you miss out on a little bit chips too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, just ballpark, maybe the Flesh House scores a quarter what it did before.
That's bad. But then
Well,
it gets
okay,
tripled.
so we had 50. We had like it was 38,000, and if we score a quarter of that, that's 10,000. And then if we triple it with trio, that's 30,000. So we can beat the boss with 2 debuffed flush houses. That's something that's possible.
Okay. And that's like
maybe that's not like practical, being able to get 2 flush houses.
Yeah, it seems unlikely given the composite. Well, we have more 9s than I thought.
True. Yeah. Okay, so if that's not the plan, then what is the plan? As far as like, is the world card going to be enough, or do we need to try to figure something else out?
Right.
Flush also, since it's level 7, is actually pretty close to the flush house. It's more multi even.
Especially if we maybe turn 10s into spades.
10s could become spades. I would go so far as to make 1 holographic jack into a spade.
Okay. And
if you need to for the flush house.
Right, and then maybe we could sell the abstract to get the ×2 from the stencil off of that.
Yeah, abstract you can get rid of. If you have the holographic card, you can get rid of abstract. So we have a game plan, and then so now that we have a game plan, we know, okay, I don't need to do any shopping here.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. So I would, well, we hit a, this is another thing we didn't consider. We hit the the glass card that we made earlier.
Okay, that's something that you can turn into spades.
Yeah. So that's it. That's a keep no matter what, and then we can kind of maybe make a decision from there.
We want to try to hit the trio also, if possible. So we don't need a flush house, but we do need the trio. Right,
so try and keep the 9s then, and then we could get a molt, and sacrifice a molt 9 instead of a molt jack.
Yeah, I would go so far as to throw away the ace of spades also. So even though we know for sure we want spades, we get 3 spades for free. We just need to find 1 more.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be honest with you. I just didn't know. I couldn't count to 5 right there.
Yeah. You were already there. Yeah.
I thought I was already discarding 5. Okay, so we hit what we needed. We just need to find 1 more
now
spade.
We need a spade still.
But that shouldn't be terribly difficult, right? We've still got 9 of them.
Yeah.
We've done it.
Nice.
And we only really have to sacrifice 1 of our late game pieces. And we want to use the world first, followed by the hermit. And then still seems like we want to get the glass re-triggered off of the hanging shad just because our base mold is reasonably high.
Yeah, rather than the, normally you put the glass on the end and then the molt cards in the front.
This is probably also a situation where we want to sell the abstract, right?
Yeah, because then stencil gives you ×2.
Yeah, and it's right. ×2 is going to do more than that abstract was going to do. Okay.
Sick. And now that spade is gone forever.
I know. I was excited when that broke. All right. So probably, how bad do we even need these planet packs at this point? Probably still worth, right? We could. The whole point of like playing Flush House is to try and level it.
If you're not leveling it, what's the point?
Yeah. And then we just have a decent fallback with the Jupiter, like, guaranteed to be in there.
Yeah.
And
so, like, obviously, it's sad the telescope, your flush house is never going to be your most played hand, but at least you have a fallback every time.
Right. And then reroll first in case we hit an Arcana card that we can then use in the...
Like that?
Yeah, that we can use in the Arcana pack. And get good value off of it. That's a 9. And then we can get the Queen. And we can start clipping cards. Even if they already are... Okay, let's actually take a look. So we can kill these 2 kings, or we can turn them into diamonds and kill, like... Kind of like having kings as an option as well.
I guess, how many... Suppose you saved the star. Suppose you wanted to use it on more 9s than just this 1 9.
Yeah.
Do we have more 9s?
We do. We have 3 9s because we had to make a sacrifice earlier. We also have 1 jack. So maybe it is just worth hanging on to.
We also have the Jack of Hearts. So we have 2 jacks. We have 3 9s. The star also saves us from tragedy in the next round. You could have it as like a safety net. You can make a,
so we just
a flush house on the fly.
Right, so we just murder these kings then.
Yeah. You want to get the maximum star value.
Cool. And just go next. Well, there's
56 bucks is a lot of money to hold on to, but your tarot card, your tarot slots are already full, right? Because you only have the 1 slot because of the Cartomancer.
And we do have seed money, and I'm greedy.
Yeah. Sick.
Okay. So we just need to find 1 more 9. With that in mind.
Well, you could just play the queens.
That's true. Okay. Yeah. So we just use this as our hand.
Yep.
And then no reason to do anything with that. But we might as well... Probably should have discarded first. Just to see if we can find something better.
Star on the queen instead of the ace. It's probably not going to matter, but that could have been a possibility.
Yeah. It would have been an improvement.
Okay. So, status quo... We have 88,000, not quite 90,000 is what we need for the next round.
Okay. Now that does improve a little bit if we play like the actual jacks and 9s that we want to be playing.
Slightly.
Right.
The first holographic card matters the most.
Yeah.
But also we have flush as a backup, so you could play 1 flush house, 1 flush, and it's fun.
Right, and honestly, flushes are scoring a little bit better than Flush House right now anyway. How do you feel about Hone as a voucher?
For most vouchers, I take them unless I can't afford to.
Okay.
And so, how much does Hone actually help you? I don't know. I just take it.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. It doesn't hurt us actively.
It doesn't hurt you to take it. Yeah.
But I don't necessarily need to here unless I'm committing myself to selling the moon.
Yeah. Let's see here. If you don't reroll now, then you're gonna have like 80 bucks in the next round, and then you might not reroll there either. And then so I would reroll a few times, and then maybe try to get more tarot cards.
Okay.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah, you can see the future. So worth 1 more reroll here. And that's a Cavendish.
Interesante.
I mean, there's no reason not to take it at the moment, right? It doesn't quite get us to the ante-8 boss blind, but it gives us like a little bit more breathing room to set up.
So if you take it now and turn off the stencil, then you go from a ×2 to a ×3. You score 50% more than you did in the previous round. So 50% more than 88 is going to be more than 120. So you're in the clear for the boss.
Mm-hmm. I guess the singular downside is that it limits our ability to pick up a regular copy of it, but I feel like
unique downside, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the short-term strength might be worth that trade-off.
Yeah. Because then you get to hold on to the Cartomancer longer.
Right. Which is a thing that I am very excited to do. My god. It's the world again. Okay, so we still have 2 9s and 1 jack that we're targeting with that stars card.
2 9s, 1 jack. Okay, so you're probably not going to get the full value from the star, so maybe queens as a backup.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was leaning. Hello. It's pretty good. So we established that we are going to win in 1, right?
Yes, with the banana we can, whereas before we couldn't.
So what I might do is discard 3 here. Try and find the gold card. Try and find another 9 or a jack for long-term value, and then use the hanged man at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a 10 out of it. But not anything that looks appealing to use the hanged man on, I guess, is the downside to this.
Yeah, that's the only way you get punished is if you draw a jack here, and then you can't use the hanged man.
Yeah.
One thing you could do is you could play 1 jack and 1 9 and spend $1 to draw some more cards that you can use the hanged man on.
Okay. Because, yeah, we have that 10 in waiting. So the 10 and the 3 just die now?
Yeah, even though they're diamonds.
Right.
Yeah.
Who cares? They're not.
It doesn't contribute to the flush house.
They're not the cool diamonds.
Yeah, not the cool ones.
All right. Well, that wasn't quite.
Yeah, it's because we didn't have the holographic with the jack.
Right.
But then this is fine.
Right. It's not like we're in any danger because of the composition of our deck at this point.
Yep.
Although it does mean that we paid maybe an extra $1 to use the hanged man.
$2 reduce.
All right. So I would buy these to take them into the Arcana pack.
Okay, I would say at this point, maybe now the Empress doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. But the... Hello. Do like... Just kind of enhancing these for the future. This is going to be a diamond eventually.
Sure. Yeah. It's a 9, 10 you can use strength. Haven't gotten any strength yet.
No. And then I like hanging on to the devil for like guaranteed like return on our investment in the round and just using the hermit here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, hermit makes sense.
And then I guess we buy that voucher on our way out. And there's our first level in series finally.
Finally. It doesn't take much. Only
No, it
takes
doesn't.
like 5 or 6 of those.
So we kind of learned from that last round that we don't really need to reroll again here, that we're just kind of in an okay spot until the banana is gone.
True. I would say... Yeah. That's it. It's like, okay, I could potentially replace the stencil, but then, maybe I need to reroll again in the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay, these are not diamonds, I've noticed. How do you feel about just playing a flush here so that we can just commit into playing 2 flushes?
Okay, so you won't get the trio, but you do get the holographic.
Okay, wait. No,
So
getting the
it would
trio
be
value
like-
feels like it's
We got
necessary, doesn't it?
50,000 last time when we did that.
Yeah, it kind of feels necessary to get trio value, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
If you miss, you can make a glass card.
Right.
So you have a safety net also.
Right. And greed the gold card, or are we paying to like get a better deck composition?
I think you can afford to keep it.
Okay.
Because you have justice. If you don't have justice, then maybe the gold card is too risky.
Mm-hmm. Then do we like justice on the 9 just for like future value? or Justice on the 6 to potentially kill the card.
Yeah, so the question is, how much do you plan on using the glass card? And if it's early, then you want to make glass cards so that you can remove cards on purpose. If it's later, you want to make glass cards so that you can save them for potentially the Violet Vessel and Ante 8. And then so that means, okay, we're close enough to the end. I would rather at this point have a glass 9 than a glass 6.
Okay, that was my instinct as well. Just we've got 6 more rounds basically to look at.
Yeah.
And then is this going to win with the glass? Probably. So use the devil card.
I would, yeah. I think it's late enough also that it doesn't matter. Normally my impulse is to put it on diamonds if I can, but maybe here it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get the immediate return on this so that we can, can find some maybe lovers of strength to pull. Speaking of, we do have a jumbo spectral pack and a buffoon pack. Woof. Not the stage, the run for either of these, nor do we really feel like I want them to be eternal.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Check the collection. Do you need gold stickers?
Probably. This is a relatively fresh profile because I ran into some issues with some mods previously. All right, the only one that looks even remotely appealing is Deja Vu, so that's like the clear pick. The question now, I guess, becomes where does it go? You can see an argument for Jack, just again, in case we get that photograph, or we get more consistent, reliable value just from putting it on a steel card.
So I think I agree with everything that you said. I think maybe another line that you could consider here. Stencil's not really doing that much. Cartomancer, maybe we could get rid of. Maybe it's already done the thing. Cavendish is perishable. And then so you could consider using either the Ankh or Hex here.
Right, and I feel like Ankh would probably provide the more value.
Either Chad or Trio are both good.
Right.
Hex is lower variance. It's just like guaranteed times 1.5. You don't get to high roll the trio, but you get the guaranteed times 1.5. You could look at what the boss is. Okay, so you don't have to worry about like face cards debuffed or something like that. That would punish you for getting a copy of the Chad if you did the Ankh.
Right. Okay, I'm leaning towards the Ankh. I know Hex makes it shiny, but like, if we're committing to selling out of some of these jokers, having a higher density.
Copying the Chad would be worse than getting the polychrome, but I think it's not enough worse to be like sad about it.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll just commit to finding that photograph then.
Yeah.
And, well, I like the symmetry like this. And then I know you're a big Tarot Merchant fan, so I'm just going to grab that while we have the money.
Okay. So the question with the Tarot Merchant is, do you take it immediately at the beginning of the ante, or do you wait till the end of the ante? After you've seen more shops.
Yeah, I guess initially I would be, because I have the money to reroll, I would be inclined to take it now, especially after we get out of the Cartomancer. The problem with that play is that we just sold out of most of our jokers, so we kind of want to see jokers at the moment, right?
That's yeah. If you want to see more jokers, then you don't take the Tarot Merchant right away.
Right.
But you could also think of it as like, okay, well, I have the 2 Chads, and I get better value from my Chads from tarot cards rather than another joker.
This is 6. I think we can go 1. Wow. Well, I guess that's the repayment for the Tarot Merchant.
There you go.
I don't have Planet Merchant, so what is this about, Doc?
You also don't have the Cartomancer anymore, so you don't get punished for holding on to 2 planet cards.
Okay. Is that worth the $6 associated with it,
though? Every time either of those planet cards shows up again, you get a free reroll on a new different planet card.
Okay.
So It's worth it if you're re-rolling more than 6 times
Okay. Which,
per shop.
long time. Okay. Long term we might, but maybe not here. Because I feel like we need to reroll anymore.
Would you ever consider Andrew here? Marry Andrew?
You've turned me into an Andrew believer. I had a really good run with it yesterday, so I might be inclined to do so, especially if we really want to commit to that flush house game plan.
Andrew guarantees you get at least 1 flush house.
Right.
But may make it difficult to get a second flush house.
Right, which right now we kind of do need the 2 flush houses, or at least a flush house and a second flush with the 3 of a kind, right? So like we need to get the trio active no matter what.
Yeah. So this is the same thing as like using shortcut with straights. Like, okay, shortcut doesn't give me any points, but if I can make 3 times as many straights, I get 3 times as many points. And so with the flush house, if we get the flush house, we have the trio, we score enough points, that's it. If we don't get the flush house, we just die entirely.
Okay.
And so like having Marry Andrew for the extra discards helps with that.
Okay. And it doesn't break our symmetry, so we're fine. So we just want to find those jacks and those 9s, right?
Yeah, jacks and 9s.
Well, step 1, we probably can't greed the gold cards anymore, I would imagine.
Not with Andrew now.
Yeah. Okay. There's 1 flush house down.
Yeah. And our flush is actually not terrible as long as we have a 3 of a kind.
Right, which is very, very possible to do with, we still have 3 jacks.
Yeah.
So we want to probably prioritize finding the jacks with that in mind. There's still 2 more jacks and 6 diamonds, so throwaway hand here. Probably didn't need to keep the 9 though. But
never punished.
Really a never punished moment.
I think in this situation, you can get 15,000 with a normie flush even without trio.
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit risky to go for the second flush house or go for the second trio.
But Doc, have you considered how cool it would be to get the flush house in the telescope?
It would be pretty cool if you could play a lot of those.
All right.
Bring a telescope if you open the Celestial pack first and then the Hermit second.
Telescope, Celestial pack. Oh. Well, I've already botched that order a little bit here.
Yeah. It's okay. It doesn't matter here.
Okay. So here, we could either go Hanged Man or just Death for another 9. Feels like a good idea to get some more of those 9s because we're so desperate to get the trio online.
I think removing 2 cards actually gives you better probability of getting it.
I will take your word for that.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that. I'm a retired methologist.
Okay, so the reason I see, so I did the thing where I didn't re-roll into potential tarot cards again, right?
Yeah, you can also re-roll into, if there's planet cards, you re-roll into a planet card and then open the Celestial pack.
Right, increase the chances of flush house appearing.
Yeah, and if you're holding 2 planet cards from the previous round, then that's 3 planet cards that aren't going to show up.
Right.
And then you can build your own telescope.
Are we allowed to take 6 cents here?
Oh,
we only have 2 6s is, I guess, the concern.
Well, okay. How much does your 1 flush house do you? It was 80,000?
Yeah. That's not looking too good, is it?
So flush house twice is viable. You can also do flush house once with 2 trio flushes.
Right.
You can also do flush house once with 3 flushes non-trioed. And then so in theory, 6 cents could fit in there. I wouldn't do it this late, though.
Yeah, it feels very risky to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another reason we're punished for this order. And
yeah, I would say you have seed money. Your interest is maxed out at 50, but that doesn't mean you have to hold 50 forever, since you only have 5 rounds left.
Right, and we're kind of like not necessarily. Oh, hey, we found a strength finally. We're not necessarily.
Yeah, we're not super strong right now.
Okay, so the strength could help us out.
That helps immensely.
Right, because we could also, like, I'm noticing maybe make some queens into kings that could help us, or even like we don't have a lot of 8s and 10s. But like we could, I don't know, just get some stopgap options to get the trio.
For sure, yeah.
reliably.
Even just like turning a 5 into a 6.
Right.
Steel Joker's 20%. It turns your 80,000 into 96,000.
Yeah, I guess I should have taken a longer look at that. We do have a fair number of 6s, so I'm inclined to keep those. Is it ever worth giving up a singular jack into a queen? Just to distribute these a little bit better.
I think you could do it.
Okay, and then we probably want to go, it's not great, but 2 into 3, just so that we save our discards.
Yeah, if you already have, like you said, 2 6 of diamonds, or maybe even a third 6 of diamonds, then losing a 6 of diamonds is maybe not what you want to do, so do the 2 instead.
And we can send something like this. And then there's our potential for another strength target if we wanted to keep that.
Nice.
Or we just got a better strength target. Well, we can also just use both of these and have a chance at now a third flush house.
No holographic, so we're not out of the woods yet.
No, but we're very likely to draw into at least one of them and 3 total jacks to finish out this hand, right? Well.
Bummer.
I mean, this already ought to do it, right?
Okay. Yeah. So, just to review here, we get 75, 80,000 with the holographic card because of the Chads. Without the holographic card, there we only got 20,000, even for the flush house.
Right.
Only 20,000.
Yeah, the holographic.
And so we need to have a holographic card in every hand.
Right, because of how much work the Chad is doing. We need to have a holographic and the trio active at all times.
Yeah. And we don't need a flush house.
No, it just looks cooler.
We just need the trio.
Right.
But maybe the next round gets a little bit spooky.
Well, we can get saved by Mr. Bones. That's...
You could. If you could do it without Mr. Bones, then that's a ×4 multi against the final boss.
Right. So there's just no reason not to take Mr. Bones along for this wild ride, right?
Yeah.
Especially because we're extremely weak to potentially getting the Violet Vessel, as well as like a great number of boss points in the next ante, aren't we?
Yeah, it comes down to the, what flavor tarot cards we get.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to roll once here, just because we could kind of use some help. The pool seems pretty good for helping fixing our deck a little bit more. And then we can open the Celestial pack and see if we want to get that strength first. So do we want more levels in series, or do we want another strength so that we can make more flush houses?
Okay, how confident are we in our ability to get the flush house? 1.5 times.
So we have 6 queens, 5 of them diamonds, 6 jacks, 5 of them diamonds, 4 the queen of diamonds, a lot of 9 of diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
So 6, 9 of diamonds. It seems like if last ante was any indicator, it seems like we're reasonably consistent in doing so, but still could use a little bit of help.
Even if not, the 10 into a jack is the one target, and then that's really it.
Right.
There aren't really other good hits other than maybe jacks and the queens, which is a little bit of a waste.
Yeah, it does. Okay. So we get to do the cool thing then.
Yeah.
Very nice. And we're probably past the point where we're super interested in these standard packs, right?
Right. We passed that a long time ago. All right, are we good? Do we have what we need?
Well, yeah, we can definitely at least survive, right? Like, that's not the concern.
Okay.
It would be nice to keep the Mr. Bones alive, though.
And then the small blind of ante-8 is even smaller, so if we can beat this one, then we're done.
Okay, that's not a bad start. How do we feel about just making a flush to save some of our discards here, now that we have a whole... Because again...
I'm into it. I like it.
And so this is just for my benefit. The lesson we learned last time is maybe playing a flush house isn't as important as playing 3 cards and the first card being the holographic card.
Yeah. The holographic more than anything else.
Right.
Important.
Okay. So got a really good probability of hitting those 9s. Unfortunately, no holographic here.
That's rough, man.
Yeah, but
so I mean, you only have 2 more holographic cards in the whole deck.
Right.
So you're gonna have to play a hand without it. So you might as well play this one hand without it.
Okay. Well, we hit one of the holographics. So now we need to find... I have such a hard time seeing the enhanced cards. This one's already in hand, right? So there's 1 more queen, 3 more jacks, 3 more... We need to find a way to get that trio online.
Yeah, you have 16 cards. You're gonna need the 3 9s exactly.
Am I, though?
So... the 3 queens, that does like 80,000, right? The regular flush.
Mm-hmm.
And is maybe not enough.
Right, but then I can draw the 3 9s on the backswing and finish it out, right?
You get the 3 9s and there's a jack in the deck. Oh, yeah. You could do the 2 flushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Getting close. We just need 1 more of those 9s. In 6 cards, we're guaranteed to hit it.
Yep, and this is one of the benefits of, having Mary Andrew and then also having in total not that many cards in your deck. So like maybe you have less jacks, you have less 9s than you would have if you were copying them, but because you get to see all of your cards, you get to sculpt your hands and get the right combination of cards.
So here I like the Chariot on the 6 because I have more copies of 6s than I have queen or aces, so I might be inclined to keep, or I might be less inclined to discard 6s.
Yeah. And, you could also do it on the 9 in theory, but in this particular situation, if you don't get the trio, then you lose, so.
Right.
Otherwise, that would have been nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, another thing that I was trying to figure out there was knowing that you can see all your cards, and you hold the steel queen in hand,
Yeah.
and then try to and not even play the queens as the flush. But then it ended up that we had, you know, enough cards left over to make 2 flushes, and so it was fine.
This feels like a pretty good shop to me.
Yeah.
Just because we're kind of towing that line. Like having the extra hand. Well, I guess it doesn't matter that much if we're already seeing the entirety of our deck, right?
Extra hand is an extra discard.
Right. This 9 and maybe that jack are the 2 most important things to hit. So do we ever greed the stars card here? I also, before we even get to that, no, this is probably the primary thing. So do we want to greed for the for this jack? And maybe even this queen?
I wouldn't necessarily consider that greed so much as, like, I probably have a pretty good chance to hit the flush house already, and then if I don't, I can save the star as a safety net.
Okay.
And so, like, you could put it on the 9 here, but that might not be relevant, whereas if you're holding the star, it will always be relevant.
Right. Okay. And then we have a question of Justice and Hermit. And it feels like the more immediate need is the Justice, since, like, yeah, it'd be cool to use the Hermit to set up for Endless, but, like, we need to get through ante 8 first, right? And the Justice could help with that.
Yeah, I would take Justice here over Temperance. I would take Justice over $50.
Yeah. Right. Like, you can't take the money with you when
we
you're gone.
demonstrated the ability to see all of our cards, and the grabber voucher makes it even more possible to see every card.
I am not terribly interested in this either. We've already got kind of a small enough hand with the Mary Andy, right?
Going to 6 would be really rough.
Yeah.
The boss does want us to sell a Joker. So if you don't ectoplasm here, you have to sell Bones. You have to beat the boss without Mr. Bones.
Right. That's part of what the like, my thought was maybe we could even let Mr. Bones die on the big blind if we need to, just to like guarantee that we have the glass for the boss blind, and that should clear it.
Oh sure, yeah.
So that was kind of where my head was at.
So I guess then no ectoplasm.
Yeah. And then, do we need the grabber right now, or do we need it at all?
We demonstrated in the previous round we don't need it.
Right. Okay, that's where my head was. Want to keep... Keep the 9.
Yep. The most important thing is you want to play and discard 5 at a time every time.
Right. We probably want to keep this queen, though, too, right?
Holographic, cool, yeah.
But also... Well, I guess we don't necessarily need to keep the 9 if we have the potential to hit here.
There's more 9s, yeah.
There it is. But also we don't need it yet, so we can just play the flush house. Which is now a better hand than the flush.
Yeah.
And then save the stars card for later.
For an emergency. Which you might not need.
True. But
yeah,
if we do, it's there. Because, like, in this situation, first of all, I'm seeing really good value off of this.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I want to use it here.
Okay.
But I still need to discard for one of the enhanced jacks. And I don't want to risk the glass anyway. Problem is... Well, we still, because we're seeing our full deck, it doesn't matter. Like, just get rid of this.
Yeah, so you're telling me if I get the enhanced jack, if I get the holographic jack, 100% win.
Mm-hmm.
So count
just,
your 9s
right.
and then decide if you need those.
Yeah, so just do that, basically.
I would throw another 9, right?
Yeah.
If you have 2 more 9s in the deck.
I have one more. We've done it. And again, it was guaranteed because we have 3 hands.
Well, this is the flush instead of the flush house. Is
Right.
this the same 100,000 that the flush house was?
It's a little bit off, isn't it? But,
Okay.
So maybe throw 3 to get the 2 remaining jacks.
Do we have a holographic jack in the deck? Is that what that is?
It looks like it, yeah.
Okay. So you throw 3, and then if you miss, you throw 3 more, and then that's it.
Right. Easy.
Yeah, if things were different, then maybe you throw away 1 holographic jack to guarantee that you draw the other jack.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna need a little bit. Well, we can't just let Mr. Bones go off, we've decided, right?
Yes.
So. Well. I mean, 1 glass card will do it, right? So. Maybe we don't have to part ways with Mr. Bones?
The holographic card, that's a very good one.
Well, yeah. But does this, like, this run has no real endless potential, does it?
No, yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so, like, we can just clear the, the ante-8 with the good one, use the less good one on the big blind.
Yep, you can skip, too. You could go straight to the boss now.
True. True. What's our skip, though? No, we've gotten this far without skipping, Doc. Well, I guess, yeah. No, we're selling them. I guess the skip actually is probably the smarter play, because it guarantees.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what your goal is. If you're just trying to beat ante 8, then I might have skipped all the way from the small blind to the boss.
Right.
As soon as I know that I have the glass card, which wins.
Yeah. It also just like guarantees that we have a Joker that we can sell into the Forbidden Leaf, which it would be catastrophic not to. So we should probably do that. And then this should be pretty free once we draw the good card.
Yep. And we only need 1 hand, so we can kind of be liberal with everything else.
Right. I have 2 9s left and 3 jacks. There's one. So I only have 1 9 left.
Okay. You have the holographic glass jack, and you don't need more jacks than that. Whoa, hold on, wait. It's yeah, you can get rid of 1 jack, and then you've got 2 left in the deck.
Right. But probably can I afford to get rid of 1 9 as well?
Yeah, because you got 2 jacks, 1 9. That completes the flush house.
And we've only got 10 cards left, so it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's just a matter of finding that 1 remaining 9.
Wow, rude.
I know. God, that cost me an extra $1. What are we gonna do next run? Okay. So this is our big hand. This is 2 hours of work to get to
Yeah,
this
this
one
is
hand.
definitely this is not the easy way to go.
No.
This
Well,
is a
I mean, we took
particularly
the
challenging game plan.
right. Well, we took the divergent path early when we decided not to take the red card, right?
I think it happened even earlier than that.
I guess that's probably true, but
Yeah. There you go. Violet Vessel could have beat it, no problem.
not even a chance. Also, Mr. Bones would have clutched up for the Violet Vessel anyway.